Hello and welcome back. What a view, huh?
Yeah. Wait, are you talking about the arch or me?
Good point. So the last couple of weeks, no, the last week. I wish it feels like a couple of weeks.
It does.
We have been hiking through the US.
We've seen a lot of places.
We've seen a lot of cool places.
We're gonna show some footage over here while we're talking because that's a lot
now.
better. So we've seen the great sand dunes.
Yep.
A lot of sand.
We saw MESA VERDE.
Yeah. We went to Zion National Park where we saw that place is massive.
Yeah, it is.
So we did the Emerald Pool trails. We did the Narrows.
Angel's Landing.
And of course Angel's Landing. Yeah, that one.
I'm on top of the world! Woo! And then we moved on to BRYCE Canyon, which was also unreal with the hoodoos.
Yeah, hoodoos.
And now we are at the Arches National Park.
And obviously, us being the absolute nerds that we are, and maybe slightly damaged by sports psychology at this point, but we're always thinking about how does this relate to mindset? And I personally think nature is such a good reflection of how we think and learn and grow. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, is what we can learn from these experiences that we've had.
Whoa!
And just some thoughts that have been on our mind.
So please, come along. If not for the knowledge, for the views.
And before you ask, we are going to make a video about the hikes, especially the Narrows and Angel's Landing, because those two were sick. So that'll be coming in the near future. So keep a lookout, subscribe, and you'll see it. What was happening behind me? One of the main things that I've been thinking all week, and both of us, because we've talked about it, is wanting to take everything that we see in, because a lot of these things are once in a lifetime things,
Absolutely.
Not every day you're gonna hike through a river or hike up Angel's Landing. Yeah.
This is amazing.
And the best way to do that is obviously you wanna be here thinking about what you're doing and taking a moment to enjoy everything. And obviously just not having your mind elsewhere.
Yeah. And I think it really showed when we were hiking, because both of us had to take moments where we were pausing to look up and enjoy the view and everything that we were doing, because in the river we were so focused on not twisting our ankles.
The stick is an essential. I would be rolling down the river but for this stick.
And at Angel's Landing, very focused on not falling down a cliff, So we really had to take those moments to just stop and enjoy what we were doing in the process. Look at that view.
And I also the climb was unreal too.
Yeah.
It was class.
Oh my god. Even though it was scary,
there was points that it was okay, hang on.
Yeah.
But worth it. Yeah.
And that really translates to everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're just going in the moment.
Yeah.
Going with the flow, and we forget to enjoy the moments and being where our feet are.
I know. We're getting to the next thing instead of enjoying how we get to the next thing.
Yeah.
And that can happen when you're fully immersed in something. It's hard to see the bigger picture. In sport, you're so focused on your own performance. Maybe you focus on some things, you don't see other things.
Yeah.
So taking a moment to see everything that's around you.
So takeaway, being.
This video is us flexing the arches.
So the second thing that we talked about and have thought about this trip is comparison. And especially for me, going to BRYCE Canyon from Zion National Park, I told Ciana, is anything ever going to be as amazing as Zion was?
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting thought, right? Because these places are very different. So why compare them in that manner?
Yeah. If you look at the footage of both, they're so different. Even though they're only 2 hours apart, it's different worlds.
Absolutely.
But we automatically kind of went to, this isn't as cool as Zion was.
Yeah.
And we also saw it with the sand dunes and MESA VERDE. The sand dunes were never seen anything like that, and then MESA VERDE was kind of I expect a little bit more. But when you think about it, these people built their homes in the mountain, and we got to see that.
Yeah.
But the comparison there made it oh, it's not as good.
And we do that a lot in life. We compare everything.
Yeah.
And we compare good, bad, and we do it in everyday life. We do it in sport. We do it at work.
There's social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
always comparing everything.
Yeah. And it's kind of something that's hard to like get away from, because for example in sport you are compared to your teammates, like who gets picked, you know, to play. So you kind of do get from a young age caught up in like, oh, maybe I'm not starting, so I'm not as good as that person. And that translates to everything we do.
Absolutely.
So it can be hard to move away from, but that's the first step.
Awareness. As a very wise man once said, Theodore Roosevelt, he said, comparison is the thief of joy.
When did you hear that quote?
Yesterday. No, I've definitely heard it before.
Yeah, I know. But it's true.
Yeah.
Like, I think it all comes down to enjoying things for what they are in that moment, as opposed to what I've experienced before, or what I might experience in the future, or what other people are experiencing. Like, this is what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, we're dropping bombs.
Oh,
last one.
Last but not least,
Expectations.
yeah, it's a big one.
So one of the reasons why, well, there's a lot of reasons why we would talk about this, but one of the main reasons why we thought about it is because when we were hiking Angel's Landing, there was a couple behind us, and they were making a lot of comments throughout the whole hike. And one of the things that they said is that, oh, this one woman said this changed her life, so I'm expecting something extraordinary, which, first of all, it was.
Yeah.
And second of all, when we came to the top, the man was like, I expected more.
But that's kind of how our mind works when we have expectations. Like, if you expect something to be the best moment of your life, then that's setting the bar very high.
It is setting the bar very high.
And there's a chance that your expectations won't be met.
Yeah.
And like with expectations, they're either met
Or they're not.
or they're not. And if they're met, it's like,
Well, I expected that, so that's how it should be, right?
And then if they're not met,
you're very disappointed.
Yeah, like the response or reaction is way more elevated if it's not met. In certain environments, there are expectations that, like, not should be met, but like you want to meet. For example, maybe your sports team sets expectations out at the start of the year and you want to meet them. Or your workplace, the same thing. There's expectations like work standards. And we're not talking about that. Like, we're talking about expectations of things that are completely out of your control. So like how the view is going to look at the top of a hike. Like, you can't control that at all. Or what your teammates do, for example. That's an expectation maybe that we sometimes have, and we can be disappointed, and there's nothing we can do about it.
So with everything that we have been through and that we do, it all comes down to, you know, being where your feet are and experience your experiences as they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, instead of what we would hope they would be, or what someone else tells us they should be. And like, when you think about it, even hiking, literally, you're in the hike much more than you're at the top, like looking at the view. And it's the same with pretty much anything that we do. Like, you're in that process of getting to the outcome a lot longer than being at the outcome.
Yeah.
So when you think about everything we've talked about, if you're not like enjoying or experiencing what is during the journey, then the outcome might not meet your expectations. And then it's like, well, why did I do that if I didn't even enjoy the part of getting there, like the process, and now I'm not enjoying the destination. Because in sport, it's like you do the process to win, but that doesn't necessarily always happen. So maybe you don't enjoy the view at the top.
And one of the reasons why it feels so good to win, let's say win a championship, right? At the end of the season, you've been working for this moment a whole year probably.
Yeah.
And all of that's the process, right? And then you get to the moment where your wish is to win, and that lasts like that.
I know, like,
and then you do it all over again.
You get there and then you move on with your life.
But that's what makes it so satisfying, though, knowing that you did all that work.
Yeah.
Like, all the hikes that we have done, when we have gotten to like the top or the end, whatever it might be, it's like, oh my god, all of this was so amazing, the whole experience as a whole, and now I'm getting rewarded with this amazing view, you know?
Yeah, like even with the Narrows, like the Narrows is a great example of like the importance of enjoying the process, because at the end of that hike we did like 8k one way.
Yeah.
There isn't an amazing spectacular view that's completely different. It's all pretty much similar and still amazing, like you're hiking through a canyon, like wow. So if I was waiting for the outcome, then I would be disappointed.
Oh, I enjoyed every second of that.
Yeah.
That was so much fun, splashing around that water.
Yeah.
I think being immersed in nature, there's not a lot of things that's more mindful than that.
No.
And really being where your feet are, feeling the wind, the sun, just like, you know, seeing it all, smelling it all, and all that.
And like,
it's amazing.
Nature just is, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of external factors that influence it and change it over a long time, but it just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing adapts like nature, let's be honest here.
Yeah, that's true. What better way to end the video on this channel that is about all things mindset and well-being than finishing out a balancing rock.
Yeah.
It's called the balanced rock, and we should all find balance, so.
Yes. And remember to use the space in between.